All right, so today's story is one that I have been dreading telling this entire time since it happened. It happened about a month and a half ago. But before I get into it, I just want to let everybody know. Um, I guess how do I put this? I got a job, baby. So that's there. I got a job now. That's pretty dope. I don't start until the end of May. And there's a couple pros and cons with it. There's a whole situation going on because I also may have an offer coming in from a second company. But I want to let everybody know now ahead of time because I do appreciate all the support throughout the whole unemployment thing. And I'm going to make a full video about it. Just want to let everybody know now because that's probably why you're here, at the end of the day. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with me. I'll still obviously make videos throughout it just because this has been, going great. So it'll probably be less unemployment stuff, more so just maybe stuff that's happened throughout my life and all that. But today we have a story about what's happened in my life and an unemployment thing at the same time. Because, like I said, this happened about a month and a half ago. And I lost my bank account due to this. And I still have not gotten it back, by the way. I have, I'll get in more details with the bank account in a second, but I have two and one of them is gone now. So I only have one. Um, but yes, so before I get into this, um, it was a scam job posting. Um, and I would like everybody to hold their judgment on me until I finish telling the story because not only does the story make me look incredibly naive and stupid, I was incredibly naive and stupid. So let just hear me out here because there was a couple twists and turns. So, um, long story short, I overlooked a bunch of red flags because I was desperate. So let's just break down how it started. I get an email, and the email is uh, a picture of my job application on a website called Well Found. It's what it's used to help find like tech jobs and all that. And the company is a very trusted company. Like Well Found is a real job board. It has real stuff. And I had just signed up for their on-demand jobs that week, and so I get an email, and I'm like, wow, already this is awesome. And they said, hey, we found you on here. We're looking for a front end developer. Obviously, I'm like full stack, but that mainly front end. That was my bread and butter, so that's great for me. And they're like, we'd like to have two interviews with you. They're going to be over Microsoft Teams. And now some people find that kind of sketchy, but personally, the job I had before my interview was on Teams there. They're a real company. I mean, they paid me real money. They have a real office I went to. So, like that wasn't a huge red flag to me. I was just like, okay, it's a remote position. It's just more modern. And even my last job was a Google Meet was my first time meeting the owners there, like on a call. So I get the email. I do my two interviews. The first interview was with this lady. Her email, she didn't have her camera on. That was a red flag, big red flag. But her email and her Teams account matched her name, and she was the name of somebody working at the company. Like I went and checked their LinkedIn account. Somebody at that company did work like in the hiring department, and it was this lady's first and last name at gmail.com. So I was like, okay, that's her for sure. That was her Teams. And then it didn't cross my mind that why is she not using her work email, but we'll get to that. So then that goes well, and she's telling me like, oh, like okay, like the technical hiring manager for like my actual role, because she was for the whole company, she was telling me kind of thing, or she was like a wider position, and then someone that was more like, I guess, technically proficient in like programming and coding and all that, they would they would be doing like my technical interview. And so I do an interview with them, and they tell me, they're like, hey, um my name is blank. It's not a real name. I forget what they said their name was. Let's just give him a name. Let's say his name was Kevin. So like, hey, my name's Kevin. I have like I've been working here for this long. And they basically did a whole technical interview, which is crazy, right? Also didn't have his camera on, but he was sharing his screen. We did a whole like real technical. I did a whole test, everything. I'm like, okay, this is legit. Because that's what happened in my last job when I was a full stack developer. And then he goes, okay, awesome. Like, I'm going to let our hiring manager, I'm going to get back with her, and then I'll let you know the next steps from there. So then they reached back out to me about a week later. So, like, they gave me, like, some time to get fucking nervous. And so they reached out to me about a week later, and they go, all right, everything's looking good so far. Like, you did really well. This was the lady talking to me. She was like, oh, you did really well. Kevin had a lot of great things to say about you. We look forward to, like, having you join our team in the future. There's one more thing that you have to do ahead of time, and it's like just a coding proficiency test. And so the test was to make an AI chatbot that would take a prompt and then answer it, basically like a mini chat GPT. Um, that, like, was obviously not as strong since you're only using like free API keys and all that. So I did that. I finished it in about, I don't know, 2 3 days, something like that. Sent it in. I was like, okay, like, this is mine here. Blah 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 blah. Because I was trying to get a job ASAP. I wanted to hop on this mic and tell you guys, I got this job. It's gonna pay me 90K a year. Instead, that's not what happened. No, clearly, because you guys didn't get that video. And so I do that. They get back to me like, awesome, this is wonderful. This is what this lady's saying to me. She goes, I sent it to Kevin for review. I get a message from Kevin on Teams. He goes, okay, this is great. Check your email. This is our, like, document portal for your background check information. And so now I was kind of nervous. I'm like, man, I haven't seen anybody's face. I don't want to give any sensitive information. And so I already told myself, if it asks me for a social security, I'm going to, like, request like a face to face interview, like, over Zoom, something like that. Like, I need to request more before giving them my social security number. And so what I do is I go and look at these documents, and it's just asking for my first and last name, date of birth, city I was born in, and then my address. All that stuff is public information. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, and like, had a consent to a drug test, which was just like a little checkbox on there. So that all checked out to me. I was like, fuck yeah, it's great. I turned in the PDF completed. I sent it into them. And then they get back to me about 3 to 4 business days later. They're like, okay, like, everything's received, everything's all good. It went through our background check partner, and we're good to get you started onboarding. And so they said, do you have, like, you're going to get a company laptop, you're going to get a company monitor, and a company like headset for work meetings and all that. And I told them, I was like, I don't really need the headset. I don't really need the monitor. Like, I have to work from the company laptop, but, like, I have all that other stuff. And they were like, okay, like, you still have to use the ones from us. And I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. Like, I've heard of stuff like that. Usually it's just the laptop, but I've heard of that. So I'm not too concerned. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so they asked me to take a picture of where I'm going to be having my desk, like, set up. So I take a picture of my desk where I'm recording this video right now. And then I was just like, yeah, like, I was just gonna put the monitor there, work laptop there. And then they were like, awesome, like, looks great. Kevin even responded to the picture, and he said, you have a decent little setup there. Which, by the way, fuck you, bro. My shit is not decent. My shit goes hard. And I might even add a picture in here just for you guys, but maybe not if I don't get a picture on it. I don't know how to do that really on the videos, like, too well. But anyways, that sounds incredibly unprofessional for this. So then I do that, and he goes, okay, so there's 2 ways that you can um, get your setup. And this was the sketchy part. Number one, they mail me the check. And number two, I get check paper and print it out at home. And now, personally, I didn't like that idea very much. That sounded mad sketchy. My mom's a real estate agent, so she was telling me, she's like, no, like, that's not, doesn't mean automatically it's, like, not legit. Like, for some of her stuff, she prints out her some checks for, like, some deals just to, like, manually hand it into the bank. So she's like, that happens sometimes. But I still chose to have them mail me the check. I didn't care to, like, this is to buy all of the office supplies, by the way. So I chose to have them mail me the check, and then from there, I was gonna, bring it into my bank, deposit it. Whoop de doo. And they're like, okay, yeah, no worries, like, all that, like, blah blah blah, all this shit. And it was to buy the monitor, the an office chair, a headset, and the work laptop, which I thought was weird because, like, why am I buying the work laptop? I thought they would send that to me with whatever programs they need on there. So that was odd. That was a big red flag, a massive red flag. But while they were mailing me the check, they said, "Hey, on your background check, your high school that you put in, it's not coming up for us. Can you get your transcript by chance?" So I'm freaking out, thinking I have this great opportunity, a 90K a year job. Like, I need to get my shit together and go get my high school transcript. I drive 30 minutes back to the town where I went to high school. I walk my happy ass into the front office there. I already paid my transcript online, but they said they needed it like in the next day, and it wasn't gonna get to me for like 3 to 4 days online. It said, so the county website didn't fucking help. I had to go in person. I walk in person, and they're like, "When did you graduate?" And I tell them the year I graduated, and they're like, "Oh, that's a really weird year because we've changed programs like twice that year." I graduated during COVID, by the way, like 2020 itself. So it was a fucking nightmare, I guess, for like their administration stuff. And I told them, I was like, yeah, like I called the county and they told me to come down here to get my transcript. Like they said that you guys would have it. Lied my ass off. I feel so bad for lying to this lady because she was so sweet. And she was just like, I don't know why they would tell you that. Let me see what we can do for you. Long story short, I get my transcript. I basically just send it in as like I just take a picture of it and send it to the guy to prove that it was where I went to high school, because I guess the high school is just so in the middle of bumfuck nowhere out here in Florida that nobody believed that it was like a real high school. I don't know why. It's a big high school where it's at, but like it's just far out in a rural area in Florida. And so that happens. And so I'm like, okay, like I could breathe a sigh of relief, you know? And then the next day, I still get the PDF from the county, anyways. They got it to me in fucking like 16 hours, and they told me it would be a minimum of 3 days. So I'm over here thinking, oh, I beat the clock. Okay, I got this job at least. And then I get a message the next day, and the guy, Kevin, he goes, hey, your check, it got lost in the mail. We canceled that like transaction for us. I don't know what the fuck that really means. I don't use checks. Maybe I should know. I'm 24 years old, but I don't. So what am I gonna do? So then he goes like, okay, um, can you just buy this check paper off Amazon and then we'll reimburse you for it? It's like $15. So I buy it and I go to print out the check. I do it, at my apartment complex. It's like printer because I don't have a printer here. What I use it? What would I use a printer for besides apparently fucking printing out scam checks? And I'm over here like, all right, I mean, this feels a little sketch, but whatever. So I go on my bank app, and now to be clear, I have two banks. I have one that's like an online bank, where they don't have really any physical locations. They have ATMs where you can pull money out with no fee, but you can't deposit cash. And so I kept my other bank account, which was like similar to like a Bank of America. It's more of a local branch out here in Florida, but same idea where you can walk in, give them your cash, like a regular bank that you're thinking of. That was my regular account. And so I used that app to take a picture of my check and all that, and I submitted it. And surely enough, like it had to do like a week review in my bank account, because of how much the check was for. It was for $5,000, like $4,900. And I'm like, all right, like, like they gave me, I think like 10% of it, like, or like 5% of it in my account immediately. And then like they had to like review the rest of it for like a week for like a security thing, I guess. So the bank does that. A week passes, I get my money, right? I'm communicating with Kevin this whole time, letting him know, hey, man, like the bank just has to clear it and all that stuff. And he seems like he's getting like kind of anxious, which was weird, but it was definitely coming across on on our messages. And I'm just like telling him, I'm like, all right, like, it's finally in my account. And he goes, okay, you have to go to this website to buy the supplies. Now, this website was mad sketchy, but it looks so legit. Like when I say it looks so, it had like a chatbot helper and all this stuff. Which I think, by the way, I think it wasn't a real chatbot. I think it was him responding because it would respond at random times. Like it wasn't like some shit where I'm like, hey, I need this, this, and this is the code for my company. No, it wasn't doing shit like that. I would like say that, and then it would like respond sometimes immediately, and then sometimes like an hour later. So I think it was just him going back through and like be like, oh fuck, he messaged me. So that happened, and I told him like, hey, I don't feel comfortable getting it from this company. Like, can I just get somewhere else and like provide the receipts saying I got it? And it was no has to be to them. They're our brand partner. All this shit. And so I'm thinking about doing it. So I finally get all the stuff. Like I get my quote from them. It's like a PDF quote. The quote looks legit. I even showed it to my dad, who does similar stuff to that, and he was like, "Yeah, like that's a legit quote." My dad, cause my dad was also like, like me, he was very wary of this at first, but they didn't ask for anything sensitive yet. They, the transcript thing was wild, right? We thought, okay, at the transcript, we were like, "There's no way it's a scam. There's no way, because why would they want my high school transcript? They would just be like, I don't give a fuck where he went to high school." Like, so they wouldn't even care if I really did go to high school, I feel like. But I guess it's just to make it look more legit, and it worked on me, so I can't talk shit, I guess. Um, but yeah, so then I get my quote and I'm like, all right, like, I was gonna put my like my card info in to like to transfer the money. And they're like, oh no, you have to do it through Cash App. And I'm like, what? Like, this is what the website is like, so the chat bot on the website's telling me. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then it's like, it put me in contact. I'm putting air quotes right now with a representative. So I think it was just like, him pretending. It said it was a lady, but I was talking to Kevin this whole time. It was either Kevin or the lady that interviewed me the first time, but I didn't talk to them and hear their voice, so I don't know. But it was like some lady saying her name was like Valerie or something. So Valerie messages me and she's like, "Yep, like we just need it through Cash App." I was like, "Okay, do you have like Zelle, right? Because like that's through my bank directly. So if there's any scam, I could just cancel that shit. I'll be chilling." And they're like, "No, we don't do that." And they're like, "You can." I was like, "Okay, like I don't know what else. Like I don't feel comfortable not doing that. Can I do it on like a credit card? Like because once again, if it's a scam, I could just dispute that shit." And they're like, "No, like we can't do that." So I'm messaging Kevin this whole time. I'm like, "Dude, like I'm telling you, this is weird." And then he was like, "Yeah, that's odd." And then he's like, "They should be able to take debit card. Like, let me reach out to our team here." So he like waits an hour, messages me, and goes like, "No, it's totally normal for them to ask for that." And so now I'm kind of like, I'm in denial. I know it's a scam, but I'm like, fuck, like I have $5,000 in my bank account telling me it's not a scam. It already went through the security review for a week with the bank. But I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then they're like, oh, you can go to the nearest Apple store and get Apple gift cards and send them to us. And so then I was just like, fuck you. That's when I realized it was all a scam. And I was like, I need to make sure all this money's back in my bank account because this shit's going to be fucking like taken. And so I message him and I'm telling him all this and I'm like, dude, like that's a scam. And he starts trying to tell me he's like, oh, like, and I'm like, he got really mad at me. He called me like on Teams, but like without showing his face. He's like, dude, it's not a scam. Like I'm trying to tell you, like I work for this company. And then he's like, yeah, like just send them the gift cards. And so I'm like, at this point, like, I've known for like a couple hours, all right, like this is obviously not real. I'm bummed out because I thought I was about to be making 90K a year. And now I got $5,000 in my bank account that is not a real transaction. It was from the company, by the way, like the check. So, I mean, we'll get to what happens with that because I didn't know that was a thing you could do at the time. And so I'm like, dude, like, fuck you or something like that. And then he was like, oh, like, then he kind of broke character basically. He was like, oh, well, you're unemployed. You don't want to risk it or something like that. And then I was like, you seem like you're more down bad than me begging for gift cards. It's the last thing I sent him. And then like, he just stopped messaging me on Teams. And like, that's the last thing that happened. And then I keep checking my bank account, over like the next, like, couple weeks. They didn't really get any sensitive information, anything crazy. Um, and eventually, I see the money's all back in the bank account, and then the entire transaction gets like canceled. So it takes all $4,900 out of my bank account at once, and it's like, all right, like this is. And then it was like, it just said like fraudulent check or something like that. But it took it out, and my bank account was acting fine still. They never called me, never emailed me, so I was just like, okay, you know what, like it's fine, everything worked out. Everything did not work out. My fucking bank account gets canceled a week later. And so I'm calling the bank freaking out like, guys, like I don't know what's going on. I had this check. Like, it ended up being a scam. Like I told them the whole story. I'm like, my account's not working. What's going on? And they're like, yeah, we had to cancel your account because of fraudulent check. Like you whatever was remaining in your balance that was like your money was sent to you via check. And I've still been on like fighting them basically as of recent, just trying to get my account back up. It's been a month and a half. I don't have my account back. I have no way to deposit cash into my bank, like at all. And I was just like, I don't even care if they don't get me an account again. I just want to make sure I'm not in a system showing that I'm like a scammer kind of thing. And so that's what I'm dealing with now. That's I lost my entire bank account. The bank obviously took the $4,900 away because it's not my money. It wasn't anybody's money. It was the company's money. And like, it was a fraudulent check that I printed out and fucking sent in like a psycho, not understanding how crazy that was at the time. And so now I'm just kind of here and I'm kind of fucked, you know? So, if any of you guys have any have any advice for me, or tell me what you think about the story. There was a lot more to it, but like, once again, like, this video is already fucking over 20 minutes. Like, it was a month of me going back and forth with this like this guy Kevin and like this girl. I don't give her name. I don't know. It's too late to give her a name. But fucking Kevin and then lady number one. I went back and forth with them for like a month in the beginning of this, and it just, the longer it went on, the less it seemed like a scam. And yeah, man, that was the time that I got scammed for damn near $5,000, and I lost my bank account and still don't have that shit back. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I guess the silver lining is that I got a job now. I didn't lose any money, I guess, at the end of the day. Like, I lost the money that wasn't theirs or wasn't mine. But all of my own money, that's safe. So that's good, I guess. Hopefully you don't have like my social or some shit. But I think if it's like you're born in a year but it's for 2023, your social's out there anyways because of that big data breach. So, all that shit. Not too concerned with that. But yeah, crazy shit. I appreciate everybody watching. I feel like I keep trying to end the video, but I keep rambling. Thanks again for the 1,000 viewer or subscribers. More than 1,000 viewers. I appreciate that too. But yeah, I mean, it means the world to me. I put ads in my video. This is my first video going up, but I like the first one with ads starting, so that's pretty cool. And I appreciate all of you guys. If you have any more questions about the story, anything I might have missed, drop in the comments. I can kind of go over it in more detail. And hope everybody has a great day.